I'm not here to hype anything. I am here to help you decide if this Cambro insulated food pan carrier actually solves the problems you face when you're moving hot food from kitchen to table. If you're the type who worries about dishes cooling down halfway through a banquet, or you've spent a night worrying whether the electric hotbox will drain your power budget, this review is for you. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. First off, the biggest hesitation most buyers have with any hot-holding equipment is the trade-off between temperature consistency and the risk of drying out the food. Traditional insulated carriers can keep food warm, but once the internal heat source is off, they start to lose temperature quickly, and many electric models blast the food with radiant heat that can make sauces congeal or meat turn rubbery. The Cambro UPCH 400 series tries to address that by offering gentle, non-radiant heat that activates only when you plug it in, plus an insulated shell that's CFC-free and claims to hold temperature for over 4 hours without electricity. That combination sounds promising, but does it hold up in a real catering run? I've spent the last few weeks observing 2 different catering setups that rely on this carrier. A weekday corporate lunch service that rotates 3 trays of pasta, salad, and a protein, and a Saturday wedding reception where the kitchen is set up half a block away from the banquet hall. In both cases, the carrier's capacity was a key factor. It fits up to 6 full-size 2-inch GN1 first pans, which translates to roughly 24-inch rectangular trays you see in most commercial kitchens. That means you can load an entire line of entrees in a single trip, cutting down on staff movement and reducing the chance of spills. The carrier also accommodates GN1 half and GN1 third pans, so you can mix sizes if you need a smaller dessert tray alongside a larger main dish. One of the practical strengths I noticed was the preheat routine. The manual says a 1-hour preheat is needed, and that's exactly what the kitchen staff did each morning. After the hour, the internal temperature settled at around 140 F, which is a sweet spot for keeping most cooked food safe without continuing the cooking process. When a tray was removed for service, the carrier's heat recovery kicked in after about 3 minutes and brought the temperature back up to that 140 F range. In the wedding scenario, a server pulled a tray of roasted vegetables, and the remaining trays stayed comfortably warm for the next 30 minutes while the guests were still being seated. That quick recovery is something you don't get from a purely insulated box that relies on residual heat alone. However, there are hidden trade-offs that matter once the carrier is in your daily workflow. The 1-hour preheat is a commitment. You can't just grab the unit and expect it to be ready on a rush hour lunch if you forgot to start it the night before. For a small operation that doesn't have a dedicated prep area, that could be a logistical snag. Also, because the heat source is electric, you need a reliable outlet near where you'll be loading the pans. In the corporate kitchen, the outlet was conveniently placed right next to the walk-in cooler, but in a field catering situation you might need an extension cord, which adds another piece of equipment to manage. Another point that comes up in real use is the weight. The carrier's insulated shell is sturdy, but when you fill it with 6 full GN1 first pans, you're looking at a load of about 8,090 pounds. The handles are designed for 2-person lifts, which works fine in a staffed environment. But if you're a solo caterer or you have limited help, moving that mass could become a safety concern. The design does prevent the pans from sliding around, but you still need to be mindful of the center of gravity when navigating tight kitchen aisles. Now, who should actually consider buying this Cambro hotbox? If you run a medium-sized catering business that regularly transports multiple full-size pans, and you have a stable power source at the loading dock, this carrier gives you a reliable way to keep food warm without the drying effect of conventional electric warmers. It also shines for events where you need to stage food for a short period. Think buffet setups, conference lunches, or wedding receptions where the kitchen is off-site. The CFC-free insulation is a plus for anyone who is environmentally conscious and wants to avoid the regulatory headaches that come with older refrigerant-based units. On the flip side, if you're a home-based baker who only needs to keep a single sheet cake warm for a few hours, or you operate out of a pop-up stall without guaranteed access to power, the preheat requirement and the need for a heavy-duty outlet make this carrier more trouble than it's worth. You'd also want to skip it if you're looking for a lightweight, grab-and-go solution. The weight and size are optimized for commercial volume, not for a single-person operation. A practical weakness that some users might not